First at 11, a 550-acre wildfire burning right now in Charlton County, just north of Folkston, Georgia. Thanks so much for joining us tonight. I'm Channing Curtis. Now, we reported to you at 6 that there was an evacuation in the area of Highway 301 where the fire is burning. That evacuation now lifted, but the smoke in the area remains. Brand new images tonight from the Cavalry Fire Department, which is assisting in fighting this fire, shows just how thick the smoke is in that area. Now, these pictures sent to us by a viewer show us how high the smoke actually rose this afternoon. This photo was actually taken on the east side of Folkston, and that smoke was seen for miles. One of our First Coast News weather watchers sent these images taken near Okefenokee. This viewer tells us that it was very windy when these pictures were taken, and the smoke was even seen in Florida. You can see the haze from the fire in this picture taken from Fernandina Beach. Now, tonight we do have team coverage. In just a few minutes, our meteorologist Lee Southwick will have more on the wildfire danger this week that caused our weather team to issue a weather impact alert. But first, our Zach Wilcox is on the ground in Charlton County. And Zach, roads were closed earlier near Highway 301, but tonight they are back open.
Yeah, Channing, a lot has changed since we first pulled up just before 7 o'clock. You could only go so far along 301 because they had that road closure with the crews behind it fighting the fire. They've lifted that road closure. You mentioned that they lifted the evacuations, but boy, when we were first pulling up, we could see that massive plume of smoke in the sky before it got dark here. And a spokesperson that, for the responding agencies mentioned that they're at 70% contained at this point, so making a lot of progress. He feels like they're in a good place, and they are letting people back into their homes, but they're advising them to remain cautious because the conditions could always change.
You've got these very dry conditions. You couple that with high wind, you get in a forest area with a lot of fuel loading on the ground. Any spark, any fire that may start out small quickly grows.
Chuck White with Camden County Emergency Management says the massive fire on Highway 301 brought agencies from around Charlton County together to try to contain it.
I think there's some information would indicate there might have been a down power line that could have been the source on the start of this, but right now that'll still bear out in the investigation.
White says there were no injuries reported, and they don't have any reports of any homes or businesses caught by the blaze. Some folks in the area sprang into action to try to help anyone who needed to evacuate, particularly those with farm animals.
Where are you going to take your animals? And that's everything. That is your whole life. You know, our family's lost everything, not from a fire, but from a hurricane. So I do know what that's like.
Amanda Hammond with Goat Locker Farms in Woodbine is a few miles east of the fire. So she opened up her farm for people to get their farm animals out of the smoke, and is collecting donations to help make sure all animals are fed while families wait out the fire.
And I just can't imagine if, you know, the winds shifted the other way, we'd be in the same position. And so we just wanted to, you know, help.
While Hammond helps in her own way, White says the plan for the crews working the fire is to try to cut it off, then let it burn down until it runs out of fuel.
The name of the game is to break that fire, let it burn out the fuel source that's within those particular areas. You're not going to put out everything. So that's the control tactic that's being employed right now.
And just within the last 15 minutes, we saw 3 giant forestry trucks with their heavy machinery on the back pull into the gas station here to fuel up after a long afternoon for those crews back in there. And it's going to be a long night for some of the deputies here in Charlton County because they're going to be on patrol, making sure that they're keeping an eye on all these areas around the fire, making sure everyone is staying safe. And visibility also going to be something that we're talking about in the next couple of days because they mentioned that there's a lot of smoke from this fire at this point, and it could impact visibility for drivers tomorrow morning around the Folkston area. In Folkston, Zach Wilcox, First Coast News, on your side.
And another important update tonight from Charlton County schools. The fire will not impact operations and schools will be open tomorrow. Now, students who cannot attend due to the fire impacts will have an excused absence.